Hey guys, Dave Lee coming at you once again with another review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 7th episode of WandaVision. I'm going to be doing this a little bit different to normal. I've just watched the episode. I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to spill all my spoilery thoughts on this. Talk through my kind of theories on where the show's about to go. Kind of talk about that ending there, a bit of an ending explained, but again, a little bit differently to how I would normally do it. Before we get into this, of course, hit that like button down below. It does wonders in getting my content out there. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all my content. I'll be doing one of these every single week going forward for the rest of WandaVision, and I'll be doing them for Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all the Marvel shows that come up after that as well. I'd also like to know down in the comments below, what are your thoughts, your theories, your opinions on this week's episode, WandaVision Episode 7, Breaking the Fourth Wall. I'd love to know. Fire away down in the comments below and let me know all of those. Of course, as with all the episodes, this one picks up directly after the last one. Wanda is starting to have a little bit of a breakdown, and in the last one, Vision has tried to escape to try and get help, to get the Sword Agency to, you know, try and get inside the shield to kind of help him out, and because something's not quite right within the town of Westview. But Wanda, of course, catches onto this, and she decides to do the one thing that she can do is control everything and pushes out the border walls, and it takes a bunch of the Sword Agents with it, and they all become inhabitants of this town as well. And this is pretty much where we pick up. Vision is, of course, not dead, and I saw a lot of people online going, oh no, they've killed off it. Didn't kill off Vision, that was a given. But Vision is trying to make odds and ends of everything that's going on. Darcy Lewis is, of course, in the bubble right now. She knows who she is, as we kind of suspect that everyone else in the town does know who they are as well, because the last few episodes, they've been looking a little bit more uncomfortable when they're around Wanda, when they're around Vision, almost as like they're in this kind of trance where they're not allowed to break this character. So everyone has this character, obviously, that they're portraying in this show. Now, Darcy, of course, knows who she is, and she is kind of the vestibule here that the show uses to help Vision kind of understand who he is, what his part in all of this is, what is really going on, because as we established a few episodes back, Vision doesn't remember anything outside of the Westview world. It doesn't remember any of the Avengers stuff or any of that. The interesting thing here is this show name drops Ultron a lot. And I mean a lot. We've had like 4, maybe 5 name drops of Ultron. Yes, this is imbued in the history of the character, imbued in the history of both characters, because they both came into Age of Ultron. Wanda was, of course, the one who killed Ultron, and Vision is kind of born from Ultron as well, created as the perfect body for Ultron. So they do have this big connection to this character, but I kind of feel like we've never had an MCU show that has referenced Ultron since then. Maybe in passing in like Civil War or something did they mention Ultron, but it's not been so heavy-handed. And I kind of feel like we're maybe going to be getting an appearance of Ultron or something. As we know, Ultron can change forms. He can appear as you know, as we saw in Ultron, he changes his form, he dies, and then he comes back as another robot. We know that his previous form is still floating around. It was in the last Spider-Man movie. Peter Parker finds it in that big storage facility thing. What was that? It was in the first Spider-Man. But I kind of feel like when we're talking about like screenwriting, we're talking about things being mentioned in movies and shows. You don't mention something so often without there being some kind of payoff. There is kind of an old formula for writing scripts, is you don't introduce a weapon into the script unless it's going to be used at some point. So if there's like a sword hanging on a wall, at some point in the film, that sword is going to be used. Otherwise, there's no point for that to be there. Obviously, not so much just as a prop, but if it's like written into the script that there's a sword on the wall, it's going to get used at some point. They name drop Vision, they name dropped Ultron like 4 or 5 times. I feel like he's going to come into play at some point. I don't know where, I don't know how, I don't know why exactly, but I feel like maybe that's somewhere we're going. Now on the Wanda front, she is starting to really lose control. And this episode, Agnes kind of takes her kids away and says, we need to give your mother some me time where she can just be by herself, and Wanda seems to really relish this. And she sort of starts to lose control even further. things start changing around her. The milk bottle is changing, like changing forms. The pot plants, the television, everything is manifesting in different forms around her, and she's really confused by it. This is something that she is not controlling, and we understand this. We know this. We can see in her eyes that I'm not in full control, but I thought I was in control. And even she's starting to question, what is going on here in Westview? What is going on? And of course, Pietro wasn't in this episode at all. We didn't see him at all. He was mentioned in this one as the imposter Pietro. So it's going to be interesting to see if he does come back at some point. I assume he will. There will be, we did get a payoff on that at the end of this episode, but I assume he will come back in some form, and we'll kind of see what the deal with him is in this show. But it's very interesting when we then go to Wanda's children, who are hanging out with Agnes at her house. There is the mention that Agnes is quiet inside. She's kind of empty inside. They can't read her thoughts. They don't know what's going on. And that's our first indication of, well, not our first indication in this episode, but it's one of many kind of things throughout the series that have kind of pointed us to the fact that, yes, Agnes is Agatha Harkness. Which is, it's obvious. We've all known that she was going to be Agatha Harkness from the beginning, but of course this is like a big bad in the Marvel Comics, one of the major adversaries of Wanda, and she's obviously finally revealed herself at the end of this episode. When Wanda becomes a bit curious, where are the kids? She says maybe go down to the basement. They might be down there playing. She goes down there. It's almost like a coven. It's kind of like a witch kind of castle. And of course Agnes comes down and reveals herself to be Agatha Harkness. I wasn't expecting that in this episode. I was expecting that to happen at some point during this show, but I wasn't really expecting it to happen in this episode. I know there's only 2 episodes left, but it did feel like a big revelation that I thought we might get in like the second last episode or something like that. So it is very welcome, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go. I guess it does make sense because the last 2 episodes really are going to have to do a lot of explaining, because there's still so many open ends here, so many loose threads, and this is a show that I feel like you end on a cliffhanger, and then it comes back the next episode and it resolves that, but then it opens up more questions. Every time you think you're ahead of the game, it proves that you're wrong. So every time you think you've kind of got it, you're wrong, and it throws another curly one at you. And there are still, even though it has been answering so many things along the way, there are a lot of things that are still left open-ended. Who is this character that Monica Rambeau is going to be bringing in, the aerospace engineer who's going to be coming to the show? People are theorizing it's going to be Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four or someone like that. So threads like that. Of course, we've got Pietro. We need to really, it was kind of explained at the end that he was being controlled by Agatha, but it also kind of wasn't explained who this, whether it is maybe just a visualization and now he's gone, or whether he's actually a person playing a role, or maybe it's Mephisto. Who knows? It's going to be the big bad, like, demonic creature that we all know is probably coming maybe in the next episode. Probably will be the big reveal at the end of the next episode. But I don't know. I'm just really excited about where this show is going, and I love this formula of going week by week and just having that like 7 days in between to be just so excited about it and talking about it with people. I'm in like 3 group chats online on Twitter and stuff with other people, with friends and family members and other YouTubers, and just constantly throwing around theories and where we think it's going to go and all this stuff. And then like my phone is constantly going off, and I wake up in the morning, there's like 100 like notifications from this Twitter group with all these other YouTubers from kind of around the world, and it's just constantly going, and I love it. I know a lot of people throughout the week have been complaining that it's too inconvenient to watch a show this way, or it makes the show feel too slow, or, well, welcome to television, guys. This is how television has been for like 70 years or 60 years prior to the streaming era. This is how we gotta watch TV, and I'm so glad that Marvel have brought back this formula with WandaVision, because this feels so pure. It feels like such a pure television show that you week by week by week, and you just don't know where it's going, and you're guessing and contemplating what's gonna happen. I'm just so excited to see what happens next week. I feel like this wasn't the biggest, most exciting episode. I still think like the episode, a couple of episodes back, episode 5, the one where Pietro first appears, that was the one where everything starts to change and everything starts to make a little bit more sense, but still everything's still a bit curious. I think that was probably the best one so far as like intrigue and excitement and all that. This one was a very subdued episode. Of course, it was inspired by The Office, so you've got the talking to the cameras, like kind of what I'm doing now. But I thought that was very awesome. That was really awesome. That was one of my favorite shows ever, one of my favorite sitcoms, The Office. So it was great to see them take on that kind of form. I guess kind of like Modern Family as well. So I feel like this was a very subdued one, but it had that big punch, that big payoff at the end, after kind of just dropping a few little nuggets throughout the episode that something's gonna go on. I like that though. I like that there are subdued episodes. There are episodes that feel like maybe they're taking their time to kind of get through the story, and I like that there are episodes that are big and bold. And I feel like the last 2 episodes are going to be big and bold. We're going to get a big revelation of Mephisto. We're going to get the revelation of who this aerospace engineer is going to be, brought in by Monica Rambeau. Of course, I haven't really addressed Monica Rambeau. She's now got her powers. She's come through the wall of Westview to confront Wanda on her powers. And Wanda, she says to Wanda something about maybe you're the villain. And she's, well, maybe I am the villain. And it's mind-blowing that we are finally revealing. Well, it was almost like that was like a payoff where it's like, oh my gosh, Wanda is the villain of this show. But then it does that kind of catch-22 kind of thing where it like doubles back over itself and it's like, well, Wanda's not actually the villain. Agatha is the villain within the space of like 5 to 10 minutes. Thought it was really cool. But yeah, Monica Rambeau comes through the walls of Westview, of the big bubble, and it's almost like she was kind of in like another reality, like it felt like real multiverse vibes when she was inside the wall trying to break through. And of course, this is when she's now getting more and more powers, and when she's picked up by Wanda later on during the confrontation, she lands down with the superhero landing and kind of like energy flying everywhere. She's seeing energetic fields, and of course she's going to take on the superhero form of probably Photon or Spectre. I'm not too sure which one she's going to take on just yet. Of course she was Captain Marvel in the comics at one point too, but I feel like they're not going to want to have 2 Captain Marvels going simultaneously in the MCU, so I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's very exciting. We got a big payoff with that too, and hopefully there's going to be a big confrontation, superhero battle. Maybe she'll bring in her aerospace engineer, and we'll see who that is. It's probably going to be someone big. Paul Bettany has been teasing that there's a big actor coming to the show in like one of the last episodes, someone he's wanted to work with for a long time. So it's going to be a veteran, and they're probably going to take on the form of either this character or maybe Mephisto. But yeah, so I really like this episode. I thought it was, again, I really just enjoyed the subdued nature of it all, but I also love that we got this massive payoff right at the end, and it just keeps open. Even though this payoff at the end answered a lot of questions that Agatha was behind this, she was behind this, she was behind this, there's still so many things that need to be answered and that are left open as a tangled thread right here. I'm so excited to jump into that one next week. We've got another 7 days. I'm going to count down the time down on my... Well, I don't wear a watch, but I'll be doing it on my phone. So I'm very excited about that. I'd like to know, once again, guys, what are your thoughts? What are your theories on WandaVision? Where is it going now? Did you like episode 7? What are all your thoughts? Spoilery and stuff, fire right down there. I don't want... Be careful about leaks. I know there's lots of leaks out there, and people have been tending to post leaks in the comments, trying to kind of innocently like, oh, well, I heard a leak that this... Don't do that. Just kind of theories. Spoiler thoughts on your episode is all... On this current episode is all welcome down at the bottom below. Once again, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll be doing another one of these next week, and I'm excited to be doing that one as well. So, of course, hit the like button down below. It does wonders in getting my content out there, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date on all my content. Until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you then. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.